Today on Delightful Donna, we're making green chili with pork. Hi everyone, welcome back to In the Kitchen with Delightful Donna. Today we're making green chili with pork in the slow cooker. So come along. So first thing we're gonna do is we have our slow cooker, it's behind me. It's set up over there. If you don't have a slow cooker that you can saute in or brown meat in, then you're gonna wanna do the sauteing in a frying pan and then put it into your slow cooker or crock pot. But mine, I can saute in. So let's get started with chopping up all of our ingredients first. We'll start with our onions. I'm gonna use about half of an onion. And we're gonna chop it into large pieces, like so. And then we're going to chop some tomatoes. I have 2 Roma tomatoes. You can use any kind of tomatoes you like. Pretty large pieces. These will break down. This is going to be cooking for the majority of the day. In your slow cooker, you can put it on for 4 hours on high or 8 hours on low. I'm going to do mine on low. And the smell of this when it's cooking, oh, your family's going to go crazy. Alrighty, let's mince some garlic. I'm going to do 4 cloves. Garlic is a personal preference. You just put however much you like. Easiest way to get the papery skin off of the garlic is to put it in your hands and kind of twist it back and forth, and it loosens up the skin. Okay, I have 5 thin boneless pork chops. You can use any cut of pork you like. This is what we like. These are pretty lean, and that's what we like. We don't like a lot of fat on our meat. I do leave a little bit of the fat cap on the edges. That's to give it flavor, but there's not too much. And we're gonna chop these into about ½ inch pieces, roughly. We're saving dishes, putting them right back in the same bowl. And my pork chops are actually still slightly frozen. I did take them out yesterday and thawed them in the refrigerator overnight, but they're still a little frozen. That's okay. Cutting meat when it's frozen is actually a little bit easier. All right, quick work of that. Alrighty, and flip, because we cut raw meat. We don't want to cut anything else on that. Let's wash our knife. I've washed my knife and I've washed my hands. I flipped my cutting board over. Just a tip for you guys. I put a wet paper towel underneath my cutting board so it doesn't slip when I'm trying to cut. Just a tip. Now let's move on to our green chilies. We're going to cut off the stem end. I'm just going to slice them down. These are roasted Hatch green chilies. These are the medium, which is called a Big Jim. And I like to leave a little bit of the seed in because it does provide a little bit of heat. We don't like too much, but a little bit. And these are pre-roasted. You can usually find them at the grocery stores roasted already, or you can roast them yourself in an air fryer or on a barbecue grill. I do have a video of that. If you go back and take a look, we'll put it in the description as well. So you can see how to roast your chilies. And then I put them in the freezer. You can see these are still partially frozen as well. We put them in the freezer with the skin still on to protect them from freezer burn. And then when we take them out, we just peel them up like you see. And we're going to chop these the same size pieces as our meat, about ½ inch or so roughly. We like big pieces. And then back into the same bowl. A little bit of that char is good. That adds flavor. Okay, I have my slow cooker preheating. Like I said, mine I can do sauteing in. And so I have it preheating on 400 degrees. And I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil. This is just about a tablespoon of oil. And we'll let that heat up. And then while that's heating, I'll talk to you about my green chili sauce. As you can see, I have it in an old pickle jar. This is a green chili sauce that I already made from scratch. I made a double batch of it last week when I was making some enchiladas, and so I kept it so that I could make this recipe as well. This recipe actually is at the request of a friend, Nicole. This is for you and Raylani. And so if you guys ever have a video, something you want me to make, put it in the comments. I'll for sure research it up and see if I have a recipe, and we'll make it together. But anyway, so to make the green chili sauce, you take tomatillos, jalapenos, cilantro, garlic, and onion, and you roast all of those. I do it in the air fryer. It's super easy. I put my air fryer on 400. I roast them for about 10 minutes till the skin gets a little blistery. Then I put it all in the blender. It's that easy. So that's the actual sauce part of it. So that's what we're going to be using today. And if you guys want to see a video on how I do that, I'm happy to do that as well. Or I can put the recipe, just leave me a comment and let me know. I can give you the recipe for that as well. All right, so let's put our meat in. We're going to start browning our meat. We don't want to crowd it because we want it browned, not steamed. So we're going to do about half of it. All right, we're sizzling away. So one thing is, when you're searing meat, when you go to turn it, if it's sticking to the bottom, it's not ready to turn yet. So you want to make sure it's not stuck to the bottom. See, this one's stuck. We don't want to move that one. We're just looking to get a little bit of caramelization or a little bit of color on there. So now they're lifting up easy because they're ready to turn. You see they're getting that caramelization on there. And that's what we want, and that's why we don't put too much in the pan at one time. Otherwise your meat turns like a little gray looking. Okay, let's let that sit for a couple more minutes. Okay, so I've added the rest of the meat. I've moved my cooked meat, or partially cooked. You don't need to cook it through. You can see it's still a little pink. I've moved it over here to the side so that I don't crowd the pan, because now I don't really care if it steams up a little bit because I've already got my caramelization. And now I've added the rest of the meat. I did put a little bit of more oil in there. Added the rest of my meat, and we'll let that sit for about 2 minutes and stir it around. All right, now we're going to do our garlic. I just have a garlic mincer here. We're going to throw our garlic in. Mince it up. We're just going to toss this around until the garlic gets fragrant. And this pan is hot, hot, so that's really already starting to work. It smells so good in here. Okay. Now we're using cornstarch as a binder or thickener for this. Maybe if we can get it open. You can use flour as well. We tend not to eat wheat flour in our house, so that's why we're using cornstarch. And I'm going to do about 1.5 tablespoons. And then we'll stir that around. We don't want lumpies. We're going to let that saute just to get that kind of pasty flour taste out of it. All right, so now you see we're getting these little bits on the bottom. So what I have here is about 1 cup of chicken tomato broth. So what I use is the chicken tomato Knorr powder, and I mix that into water. And we're going to pour that in here to deglaze the pan. We want to get all those bits up because all those bits are flavor. And you're just going to stir until you get all those bits off the bottom of the pan. Just scraping as you go. You see how that water is thickening, or that broth is thickening up already? That's from the cornstarch. See, those bits are all coming up off the bottom. That's good. Okay, now I'm going to turn this off of sear and I'm going to put it on slow cook, and I'm going to do it for 7 hours. I'm going to continue to stir all those bits off the bottom. Looks like we're pretty well got them off. And now we're going to start adding the rest of our ingredients. We're going to add our tomatoes. Stir those in, stirring at each step. And now comes time for seasoning. Okay, what I use is oregano. I buy my oregano in a big bag and I put it in these little jars. So this is Mexican oregano and I'm going to use 2 teaspoons. Like so. And then I'm going to use cumin. Cumin is a very strong flavor. It goes a long way. If you don't like the strong flavor of cumin, it's kind of smoky, then you don't have to add it. I'm putting a 1/2 teaspoon. That's how strong it is. Okay, and then we're going to just do salt and pepper. This little spoon is a 1/2 teaspoon, so I'm going to do 2 of those for a teaspoon of salt. And then I'm going to do 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. I'm going to stir all those spices to get them incorporated. Looking good already. Haven't even got to the good part yet. All right. Next, green chili time. We're going to add all those green chilies that we chopped. That was about 2 cups of green chilies, by the way. And we'll stir those in. Delicious. If you want it spicier, you can use hot green chilies. You can add jalapenos or serranos. You can use a mix of chilies. If you like it super mild, you could use poblano chilies. You can use green chilies from a can or a jar, whatever works for your kitchen. All right, and now the magic sauce. Uh-oh. Oh, I got it. Boy, that was tough. Magic sauce. All right. And that's that homemade green chili that I told you guys I made. We want every last drop because this stuff is like gold. All right. All righty. And stir up. And then we have it set, like I said, for 7 hours on slow cook. We're just going to let it cook away. And then about 5 hours, we're going to add some potatoes. And that's also a step that you don't have to do if you don't want to. All righty. Okay, we have about an hour, hour and a half to go on our slow cooker. So now we're going to add our potatoes. I cut them in quarters and then cut them in 3. So about the size that we had cut the meat earlier. I'm using red potatoes. You can use any potatoes you want. With red potatoes, I leave the skin on. If I was using a russet potato, I would peel it. And I'm adding 4 potatoes. Alrighty. You see how that's reduced down. The tomatoes are cooked. Looks delicious. All right, in go potatoes. And stir them in. And we'll put the lid back on and let it go for another hour, hour and a half. Alrighty, time is up. Those potatoes are nice and tender, but not falling apart. And that's what it looks like when it's ready. All right, let's get a taste of this. I'm just gonna get a little piece of potato and a little piece of meat. Oh, the meat is so tender. Mmm. Spicy. That is so delicious. I really hope that you guys try this recipe at home with your family. And don't forget to follow us on all of our social media. Thanks for watching. Bye.